John DeSando.
Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with our friends. Turn off our cell phones and get away. Night or day, it's John DeSando on the radio. We'll watch the credits from up high and low. Cinema Classics on NBC.
Cinema Classics is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to shows Thursdays at 8:01 p.m. on WCBE 90.5 FM. And listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm G Kline.
And this is Cinema Classics. Now, man, you want to call classic.
So, John, I have a question for you. What is green and pink and making a lot of money?
Well, it would have to be something to do with The Wizard of Oz.
It would have to be Wicked 2, our Wicked sequel, which is now dominating theaters nationwide.
Oh, Ken, you're such a cheerleader for this movie.
I am.
I've been hanging out with this idea for 60 years. 1939, so somewhere in the 40s.
1939 was the original Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland.
And I can tell you it hasn't left my consciousness.
Well, it doesn't matter. If you forget it, they'll show it to you on TV next week anyway. I don't think there's any movie that's been shown on television more than the original Wizard of Oz. And not without good reason. It's a great movie. It is truly one of the American classics.
And I'd like to explore that a little bit later on our show, okay?
Sure.
I know, it's odious to me to compare works of art.
And we shouldn't, because this is based on the original Broadway play, Wicked, which is a direct sequel to The Wizard of Oz, although using the word sequel is not accurate, because the events of The Wizard of Oz take place within the second act of the Broadway play, and within this movie, Wicked for Good.
Yeah, explain to me, for good.
For
What
good.
does that mean?
Well, it's their conclusion. There's a song in the second act in this movie called "I've Been Changed for Good," and it's one of the two big numbers from Wicked. The other being "Defying Gravity," which ends the first act, and the first movie ended with it. And it is one of the memorable songs. Wicked is not a musical that has a lot of memorable songs. You don't walk out of the theater humming "Defying Gravity" or humming "Changed for Good." It's not like a Disney musical.
It definitely isn't.
But it is the songs by Steve Schwartz, who gave us Godspell and many other good musicals, are very, very touching. They're very good at forwarding the story, telling us what's within the hearts. And for Wicked for Good, Steve Schwartz had to write 2 new songs. But we'll get to that in a second. This film, folks, is a spectacle. It is a feast for the eyes and the ears. It is filled with singing. It is filled with bright colors and beautiful sets and gorgeous costumes. It's everything that you might want it to be, and perhaps just a little bit more, because it's also a tad political. What would you say, John? Did you catch the politics in this?
Well, I was so overwhelmed by the visual that I barely had time to think about the allegorical elements of this.
This
you
film
don't expect it.
No, would you agree that this is a darker movie than the first one?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, this is a darker film, folks, but that does not mean that the politics and darkness of it should keep people away, and indeed that it has not. When I saw this movie, I was in a theater packed with hundreds, John, of elementary and middle school, mostly girls, watching this film, many of them dressed in the costumes of their favorite characters, and really enjoying it, and coming out singing the songs, coming out like a classroom, pouring out into the hallways. And it is so good for Hollywood to see this, because that was the audience they lost during COVID. Parents stayed home with their kids, they made popcorn themselves, and they watched the Disney Channel, and then they realized, oh, we saved a lot of money doing this. Hey, we don't need to go to the movie theaters anymore. So when the pandemic ended, they didn't return to the theaters. But now, movies like Wicked for Good are really turning it around and bringing the younger audiences back to theaters, because there's no replacement for the spectacle of seeing a movie like this on an IMAX screen or an Atmos screen, where the sound is surrounding you, the seats are rumbling, and the image is just as big as it can humanly be.
Very good. The only reason I went is because of you. And I'm very happy. I'm just awash in the whole notion of The Wizard of Oz, and I'm so attached to the original. It's very difficult for me fully to appreciate.
So the idea that the Wicked Witch could be the hero?
Yeah, exactly. Ordinarily, I'd be very happy for all of that, you know, because it would be intellectually challenging to do. I think the movie gets a bit confused. I think for kids, those little kids, they might wonder what's going on. They have no idea that there might be a lesbian undertone to all of this, notwithstanding handsome Fiyero.
Yes.
They can't, but I can appreciate
You
it.
and I agree on one point, and that's that Fiyero is almost unnecessary to the story.
Oh, definitely.
When I first saw Wicked...
He's a drag, so to speak.
Yeah, when I first saw Wicked back in the early 2000s with the original Broadway cast with Adina and Kristen, my first take was, what is he doing there? This story is really about a platonic romance between Elphaba and Glenda, which is summed up at the end with that song, Changed for Good, where they sing that they don't know if their lives are better for having known each other, but they have managed to have a huge impact on each other's lives. For Elphaba, Glenda has demonstrated that there is a bright spot in the world, there is hope, there is beauty, which has been denied to her. And Glenda, Elphaba, is a wake-up call. She is a person that makes Glenda realize that growing up as a little rich princess, she was so sheltered from the horrible things that are going on in the world around her. And Elphaba makes her see that and see it for what it is. And that's why I like the character actually of Glenda better in the movie Wicked than I do Elphaba. In the play, I liked Adina.
You know, it's a great point. I don't think they actually, even though I think she has more screen time, they really flesh out Elphaba. But they do give an awful lot of time to Glinda, and I think that Glinda is initially to me an airhead. Right?
You think?
All right, good. So I hit the spot.
Oh, yes.
So I understood, right.
In her pink frilly dresses and her little crown, even when we have a flashback in this movie to Glenda at about 8 years old at her birthday party, and she's sitting there in this huge pink dress with a crown on her head, and she gets a magic wand as a gift, and she waves it, and a rainbow is outside, and she takes credit for it.
I think we have an awful lot of influence from Barbie.
Oh yeah, yes, there is some of that as well.
Yeah.
But and for Ariana Grande fans, folks, you're going to love this movie because there's more Ariana Grande screen time in this than there is Cynthia Erivo.
I think you're right.
Really, Glenda is the focal character. It wasn't that way in the original Broadway production. Broadway production, it was Elphaba was the central character. But it's changed for the movies, and I think Ariana Grande really steals this film. But they also, my problem is they don't give Cynthia Erivo any opportunity to grow as a character.
And that's my point.
Yeah. I didn't see
She's
her
all
journey.
dark green. With this business with Fiyero, who's going to marry whom? After a while, I felt like I was in the bubble and just spinning around.
Yeah, the love triangle is so superfluous to the
Right.
story, and it really distracts from it.
But you brought up the bubble. I thought the bubble was really interesting. She's obsessed with it.
Oh gosh,
course,
yeah.
And she floats around in it, and she can poke it and it disappears, and then she can.
And she looks beautiful, and it
Yeah.
glamorizes her. It's sort of like a promotion of her.
And this is for any young girl. This is,
Mhm.
of course, heaven. You know, everything that she's wearing, all of her dimples and her blonde hair and her bubble, they're all a part of it, a part of the mystique.
A part of her appearance, her media.
It's America.
She's a global influencer. And when you get right down to it, she's not particularly smart, she's not particularly good at anything, but she is good at influencing people, and she knows that, and she's exploiting that. But let's talk about those two new songs, because that's something that was added by Steve Schwartz, because, of course, Act 2 of the play is only 45 minutes long, and this is a 2-hour and 5-minute movie. So where did the other material come from? Well, part of it is two new songs. One of them is a song that's primarily for Elphaba called, guess what, called There's No Place Like Home. The other is a song called The Girl in the Bubble, which is obviously an Ariana Grande song, and it's a tragic song that really, I'm sure it's going to be added to the musical from now on, because it flushes out the moment when Glenda realizes she's been living in an idealistic, unrealistic, superfluous world where nothing matters except her beauty and her friends, and then she discovers that the world around her is very dark, that the animals are being imprisoned, that people are being driven out of the land of Oz, and her bubble bursts, and she has to face the dark reality of the world as it really is.
This is pure G Kline criticism. There's no way she thought of all of that. And I realize it'd be emblematic. It doesn't have to be.
Oh.
She doesn't have to be speechifying about her change. But I just found it not quite as deep as you did. You're just going down the level that those kids who you saw in the auditorium.
I think Ariana Grande just does a wonderful job. The expressions on her face as she's singing The Girl in the Bubble really carries it. And then there's that one moment, and this is the moment where I think Ariana Grande wins this movie, is when Elphaba says, "I want you to look at me." And Ariana Grande smiles because she's seeing this woman that she loves, either non-romantically or romantically, we don't know. But then Elphaba says, "through their eyes," and she's talking about the crowds that want to burn her.
Yes, it's a good one.
And Ariana Grande's expression changes, and it brings tears to your eyes. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful moment.
You know, one of the only philosophical moments that I really got and I appreciated when she said, "look at me with your eyes." And I began to think about the whole media part of all of this.
Yeah.
Everything that Jeff Bloom is so arrogantly.
Jeff Goldblum, yes, as the wizard. I know you weren't crazy about him. I loved him.
We are, our audience has to go to our podcast if they want to hear more of this.
Come to our podcast, because I want to talk a little bit about the comparison of the Broadway musical to this, and the changes that were made, and yeah, now you have things you want to say.
Right, I do. So our audience has to go to our podcast experience, WCBE.org podcast experience, to double take in order to hear it. But G Kline, what do you recommend about this movie? As if I didn't know.
My recommendation is go see this movie in the biggest theater you can. The part that broke my heart when I was watching this, when I was at the theater, was I saw groups of young kids going into the little tiny theaters to watch this movie, and I thought, you are missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the spectacle of this movie. Folks, go see it in the IMAX, see it in the Atmos, see it in the best, fanciest screen that you can possibly get into.
Otherwise,
this is a movie that really benefits.
Go the way Wayne and I go, which is to the regular, and that screen is what IMAX might have been 20 years ago, because that is still huge. But you're right. When I have gone back to IMAX, it is pretty cool. I think I don't think it was Nuremberg, but it was something else I saw on IMAX. And it really was impressive and an enjoyable experience. But it's so vast, it's like being in Interstellar the whole time. It's way out there.
And I love that experience.
I'm John DeSando.
Cinema, 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 cinema. Classics, let's go to the movies and share some popcorn, soda pop with